Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings Rise to War stream. I am the King Under the Mountain and I play in the team of Toby. In this particular season we are with SDCC and X-Hub and we are playing against a couple of kingdoms which are the Blue and Black Kingdom. Predominantly the Black Kingdom mainly all season, which was Power, Home and Drum. But also, to be fair, the Blue Kingdom now of Yar, Game and Echo are also sort of putting up quite a lot of a fight, to be honest. So this is how the map currently looks. We are the Red Kingdom, and as we've said before, we have the ring. We've pushed into a few different areas now, so we're actually pushing Osgiliath as we speak, which is the home of the Black Kingdom, and that's where we are currently. The Blue Kingdom does have Minas Tirith, so we're unsure if they're going to help or try and snipe Osgiliath anyway. But that's pretty much where we are. So at the moment, the main battlefield for my particular fellowship is this one in Greater Rune. And this is where I've been spending quite a lot of my time, but I could probably do with relocating, to be honest, as we are quite far from the fight at the moment and the reinforcing times are not great. So I wanted to touch on a few small things today, a few battle reports, how impressed I've been with Faramir in general, a little bit on Dwalin, maybe the return of Theo, and then probably looking at, well, as always, a little bit of Dain, but also the demise of Gil-galad, which has been a hot topic really in this game for quite some time now. So I finally started to convert some units as well with my ability points. So I've been converting Iron Warriors for a little while now, just to help out on both Dwalin and on Dain. I've got to admit, I'm not a massive fan of them, but it does help me keep my my barracks pretty full. So just to show you what condition my barracks in after a few fights. Still pretty healthy. Obviously it'll go up in a second because I will get those Iron Warriors in here from the conversion as we're playing a Kings of Men season. And where's my apothecary? So when I eventually clear this out, I should be pretty much back to maximum barracks. So resources are good, and it's the joy of having quite a decent amount of resources and power. So I tend to keep going on the troops. I know people say all the time that people just farm and they get a really high production, but the higher your production, if you are a fighter, the better it is because you can actually replace troops quicker. So that's the way I see it. Currently 12th in contribution, and on the actual production ranking, so we're still ring level 2 because that doesn't change once everything hits 150. We're about 9th in production because we did a lot of farming in Iron Hills. As you can see by the fellowship count, the Red Kingdom's fellowships are all quite substantially higher than everyone else. Home have picked back up in here, and that's where we are. The other thing that's happened on this map since my last update was that the Purple Kingdom are no more because the Black Kingdom and Home took their capital, so they're still kind of fighting around our wolf, and that's pretty much where it's at with the server. So just to see what's going on there, Tyler, there's quite a lot of battling going on in by the fortress over here. Maybe hit guard or try and hit something in a moment potentially if there's something to fight. But first of all, I just wanted to go into. I'll start with the Gil topic because I used to really like Gil-galad, and I'll be completely fair. Even when maxed out now, I don't see the benefit. So, sort of touching on Dwalin, touching on Gil. Bear in mind, my Dwalin is respect 20, so it's not a bad Dwalin. But this report just shouldn't happen the way it does for something that is a T3 and a very strong commander. So that's my troop composition. That is the Gil-galad troop composition, which is a strong Gil-galad. This is the build we're currently running with Dwalin. Like I say, he is respect 20. Respect 20 is quite a good build because you do get the points to get the debuff in as well. So that is how I would build if I was respect 20. For people to just have a look at. really important skill, the physical damage received minus 15%. The Swans I've found on Dwalin this season running this free troop combo have pretty much protected these two units quite nicely. We've run into a lot of cavalry, so these guys get buffed nicely too. And I've found that to be quite a good combo, but as you can see, my gear is quite good, but it's nowhere near this level gear. So it's got perfect Elven White Knife. Perfect in my opinion, Hallberg, although the sub-skill doesn't really help the army that I've got as a composition. Great Hood, yeah, okay, you could say the gold elf helmet would probably work out better, but I mean, as far as gear goes, it's pretty perfect for Gil. Great build, great respect level, but he has literally just been trashed by Dwalin, who is a tier 1 commander. Now, it's a respect 20 Dwalin, I get that, but I just feel that Gil's time, unfortunately, in this game is definitely come to an end, and me personally, I now use him as an Elven Siege person. So that was just a touch on that, really. From a damage point of view, you know, it's just not healthy for Gilgard there. So sorry, Gil is not for me. Just touching on a few other Dwalin reports while we're in here. Not sure where I got to the other day with it, actually. Probably somewhere here, I guess. Yeah, it's now expired. Some of these reports are pretty old now. Oh yeah, I like this report. This was a great Dwalin. So this was just to show axe throwers on a master throwers on a frenzy Dwalin worked really well. It was just to show really how that works. So different troop combinations and things with dwarves, it's quite impressive. Just thought I'd share that loss because I thought that was quite an interesting report. Yes, okay, gear buff in the dwarves, get that, all that, and I've done a fair amount of damage, and yes, I'm probably out geared even though I'm one level up, but the master throws actually do a really good chunk of damage. So something to look at if you want something a little bit different. This was all T4 Gandalf the White. Again, looking at Dwalin, fantastic tier 1 com. I would definitely, if you are new to the game, get boosting your Dwalin up. He's such a versatile all-round commander. You won't be let down, particularly if you're free to play and it just allows you to compete. That was a big hit on 3 T4 units. And good damage as well, commander damage wise. This is an interesting fight versus the Theoden because I was only about half full. Again, good Theoden. So it's just to show Dwalin's versatility. Again, why I've been running the Tower Guards, because we tend to be running into a lot of these Theodens. It's quite interesting to see the sort of different comms that Dwalin will counter. You know, things like a Witch King as well you can build into counter. It's quite an impressive bunch for a tier 1 commander. So in my opinion, he is probably the best good side tier 1. But as I'm starting to find out, Faramir is running him a close second. So this was Gandalf earlier on that you would expect Dwalin to beat. To be perfectly honest, it's a good Gandalf, but you would expect Dwalin to beat him. This is the build that I would run on my Gandalf because I don't use the grey much anymore. So that was quite an interesting one. Just going into Faramir just quickly then. So this is last couple of days, and for a single hit I really like Faramir. So if I start from here, this is just a tile army. So there's a 300 tile the other day, providing this is the troop combination that I'm running. The Morghuls do loads of damage, which you'll see from the reports. The Sharps do loads of early damage. My Faramir is only respect 10. So it's a Rend Hammer, +3 and Hunter's Mark from the Wizard's Firework. I did use Dragon's Tooth on him for a while. I didn't find it as effective because the +6 for the men's nice, but the +6 HP for the Orcs, the Morghuls, wasn't great. So switching to this kind of made my army a bit more of an all-rounder. His unique item's arguably the best tier 1 item in the game for a unique item. Fantastic item. This initiative and damage 50% boost is incredible really for those first 2 rounds when mixed with skills like guide. I do run the air tree just for the simple reason of getting nobility. So again, the men units are buffed. I'd quite like to run this with, say, Woes' Hunters and potentially even Morgles or Sharps, just to see how it goes. I have seen some people run a 3-range unit composition, which seems to be quite good, but I prefer the Swans because the Swans just keep everything alive a little bit longer, and the early damage is great, but then you can kind of get through the fight a little bit more because you're not losing your range units. Hunter's Guide's obviously a great one because it gives you +3 attack. This one of Aegis covers one of Faramir's weaknesses of Madness. Yes, you get stun immunity from Guide, but also Madness, you don't want to be taking your army apart yourself. So he takes out the Marshals on the 300 tile. Great damage all round. He did quite a bit of damage himself there, and then I didn't really expect him to get that far through the tile, so then he actually lost to a Witch King, but he's only half full. This is just a tile army, I grant, but you know, tile army with some decent skills. I thought that was a good hit, so I was impressed with that. That's just after I started winning this, using this combo, but as soon as the Swans die, he does start to struggle a little bit more. I found him to be really good at countering Dwalins. This one had Moonkill. Mine obviously comfortably beats it for gear, but you know, it's a good hit versus a T4 unit. Wasn't quite full, to be fair, but Mummers are so hard to take down, and it's just to show you the damage from the Morgles is incredible, really. So you get the early damage from the Sharps and the consistent damage from the Morgles, plus some early damage as well, but it's just a case of when those Swan Knights die, it becomes a bit of a problem. I have found sort of 450 to 600 Swan Knights, depending on whether you want to try and take one fight or two fights, is probably the key. This was a 550, and the Swans didn't die, hence you know, I hardly lost any of my range units, but this was a good Gandalf. Again, taken out by Faramir. Then we got a full Dwalin with full purple gear. Again, pretty decent respect level. If it was mine, I'm guessing this is respect 16 actually, looking at it, I would max this and probably drop these 3 points, and I'm not sure where I'd probably steal the other point from, but maybe from probably all in. I guess I'd probably put 6 points in that, because I do think Hunt Down is a skill that you massively need. Maybe even leave that as 6 points from collaboration and max that out. I think he'd probably had a better result than making sure he got his skill order in place. Again, here we lost the Swan Knights, which is why we've lost so many of the range as soon as the Swan Knights die, so that the extra damage from a Dwalin has hurt Faramir there, and he wouldn't be able to take a second fight. But you know, as a single one-off fight from a tier 1 commander, it was pretty impressive. This again, similar again, sort of 500-ish. They did survive, so I'm guessing there'll be some skill damage to the Morgles, which has sort of took them down. And of course it'll be the Dain, because they will target range. This is tier 3, Arrogant King of Men. Running damage build, but looks things in the main. Yeah, probably not the way I'd run it, to be fair, but again, Faramir mops it up. Good result. I'd quite like to get Faramir to respect 17. I'll sort of come on to that a little bit later on, but again, good Dwalin. I seem to have hit a lot of Dwalins in the last few days. Mopped up by Faramir. Swan Knights have died. You do expect them to die, but it's the fact that it just keeps everything else alive a little bit, and that was a good result against a lot of Guardians. What was this one here? This again, a couple of decoy units in there and a lot of Guardians. Faramir comes through again quite comfortably. This Dwalin had the unique 4 refined. And Hiflame with Mend, as you would go for. That's an interesting skill, vulnerability. I'm guessing it's the only thing they've got on it though, with it not being refined. So it took down some of our defence. So again, just showing there, as a good result for Faramir. Again, I liked this one because there was a lot of Swan Knights in this and a lot of Catters. That is a heavy army to get through, and Farah has pretty much got through. Got a lot of troops left as well, and the Swans have survived, which is why you won't see too many of these going down. Again, just have a look at the Morgles damage. I guess it's pretty high, 107k versus 65k. it's a good consistent amount of damage, and obviously from his own damage output, which I'll show you in the build afterwards that I'm running, it's good. Also from the other day, so beat a Dain. This hurt me a little bit because I think everyone knows how much I love my Dain, or Danes in general. Not a bad Dain, but Faramir sort of chopped through it really, and the Morgals in particular. I had a few more of them in this fight, and they've done 170k. That bit of poison damage and those sort of things have really sort of hurt the Guardians. So I was pleased. I'm pleased with how Faramir's progressing. I would like to get him to respect 17. This was a good Dwalin from earlier on. Again, the sort of Swan Knights die off. Maybe 600 Swans would probably work in a lot of these fights versus Dwalins. But if I was being completely picky, I would run Faramir as respect 17, so I'd get an extra 7 points. And I would arguably try them in flanking to start with if there was lots of range compositions. Or more than likely, I would run it in here to get the extra damage to both Faramir and his army. But really pleased with Faramir. I think he's been a good find for me in the last few weeks in this season, and he's not let me down today at all, or any other day really. Just looking at a couple other things before we go anywhere. I'd just like to touch on Theo just for a couple of minutes. A couple of reports. I've revived Theo really in the last couple of days. This was a good Radagast, which you don't see many Radagast, but it's a good Radagast. I've seen more of them this season running this Reaper build. The Swans obviously leading to protection, and that was a good result. Hobbit Hunters, Shire Protectors are massively good on Theoden. The extra attack you gain from him being a man-com or a Hobbit com, but obviously Theoden is a man-com. Plus 10 attack and plus 10 speed, massive help for that. Plus always the percentage of gain damage from the Shire Protectors as well. And they can't be targeted. This is one of the key skills. So the Shire Protectors basically take one of these units at the start of the fight to protect them, and as long as they survive, you can't hit them. But as soon as this unit or this unit dies, they will start being hit. So this is why that effect happens on there. So just to be careful with them, because they are quite expensive, but if you can keep them alive, the amount of damage that they do is absolutely outrageous against the cost. This was a brilliant Khaldun from earlier on. Again, lots of T4, and it was, I wouldn't really expect to see Theoden win out against the Khaldun, but because of the Shire Protectors, he's pretty much come through on that. 180k damage. Definitely a worthwhile unit. Yes, they've started to be killed there because they've got nothing else in there at all, but definitely worthwhile doing just to show you the Khaldun gear. It's pretty impressive, really, to be fair. And a good frenzy hammer. My Theoden's running this gear at the moment, so it's not like it's massively wailed out. It is something that can be run by anyone. It is a purple set of gear with just the Dragon Tooth, which I appreciate is a good piece of kit. Shame that Hobbits don't get involved in any of these traits, particularly the plus attack, because with the Shire Protectors it would make it outrageous, but that pursuit is something that I'm also looking for. Again, so Theoden is someone that I've been using a little bit in the last couple of days. Been quite impressed with him actually, and he's done a bit of a job, but it's just so expensive to keep people in cavalry. And then, as always, a few good results for Dain in the last day or so. I'll just show them very briefly. I think this is where I left it the other day with a good Gandalf the White being trashed by him. I have now refined him up. I don't know if this fight shows it. Yeah, so his helm is now 1-star refined. So he gets that damage up a little bit faster. But this was a good Isildur. Absolutely destroyed this morning with the 1000 T4. I have been running some Iron Warriors. I haven't been massively impressed with them, but it is helping where I can use the conversion to keep my troops going. This was a Gandalf straight after the Isildur. And again, not a bad Gandalf, but it just got completely destroyed. Hit a Sauron earlier on. Like I say, I'm trying not to go too much through Dain because I don't want to be a one-trick pony all my life in this game. So it was a good Sauron. Level 49. Dain chewed through him really. doing quite a lot of damage again. Another Isildur, and a whaled out one as well, to be fair, with the unique one refined. Ranger Shroud and a full Aegis helm. Also Dragon Tooth 1-star refined. Good build, high level of respect. And Dain's chewed through him. The T4s are about even, so my T2s definitely a resource win for me, plus the fact that I've still got some health left. Happy days. And then just for fun, ran into a pretty whaled out field earlier on as well with the T4s. Running quite a good build, but yeah, Dain just walked through it really. With, I imagine, 326k commander damage. So yeah, he's doing a job. Is Dain. But that's all really. I just wanted to do a brief update today and sort of say where the server was at more than anything. There is still 15 days or so left on this server, so a lot could still happen. But we'll just see. One more point on Faramir. I would be really interested to see him at, say, respect 17 granted, but also just a little bit more. If I could get him up to respect 24 and get flanking in there as well, it'd be good. Started to call him the priest because he has more pew than the church. So yeah, he's a good lad. But there's some foolish attempts at relocates around here, which are slowly coming apart, which is a shame. But yeah, that was pretty much it for today. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I will hopefully make a few more in the next week or so. We will be trying to push through Greater Rune towards where am I here? I need to zoom in a little bit. So we're going to try and push through Greater Rune to get to Kinland. They're definitely going to defend this at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so that was that really. So I hope you're all having a great day. Like I said, there's a bit of a series of these videos now, so flick through them, see what you want from them. You will see a lot of Dain beating a lot of commanders. But if in doubt, always follow your nose.